Facebook and on YouTube tonight.
Okay, my thing says going live in minute 44.
Okay, well, we are live. Good evening, everyone. So, what I need you to do is say hello in the chat. Tell me where you're from, and let me know that you can hear me okay. Hey, Janet. I hope you're digging out of your snowstorm out there in Colorado. Good evening, Sherry. Okay, so just let me know that the audio is okay. We had some issues last week, and I think I fixed that. So, good evening, Patty, Ginger. Okay, so everybody can hear me okay? Just let me know before we start. So, tonight we're going to talk about ceramic products. Hi, Jackie. So, just let me know that you can hear me okay and see me. Before we get started, we'll let a few more people get on, okay? Just double checking to make sure all is good. Thank you. All right, great. Hey, Robin. All right, good. Hopefully I fixed the issue that we had last time. I think I know what I did wrong. So anyway, we are live on YouTube and on Facebook tonight. So thanks for joining me. Tonight we're going to talk about some of our ceramic products and just kind of go over some basic information. And then I do have a project here that I may start with you guys tonight. Okay. All right. Thanks, Janet. Thanks, Ginger. Great. I'm glad everything looks good. Okay. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to get started. So what I put up here on the screen, you should be able to see me, and then you see our the ceramics that we're going to talk about tonight. And then happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone for tomorrow. And that is a free project out on my website underneath the free tutorials. I had it posted on my Facebook page a week or two ago. So if you want that for next year, be sure and grab that. You can download the PDF, and it'll be there for you to have. Hi, Arlene. Hi, Kathy, Brenda. All right. So tonight I'm going to basically I'm going to show you some different things and talk about them just to make sure that you're aware of different things with our product line. Okay. So I'm going to switch to my overhead screen. Okay, and you see white. That's all you see. That's what you're supposed to see. All right, so this is, and I should back my camera off. There we go. So this is a toucan pattern that I did many, many years ago. Let me change the way this is seen so you don't have to see all that again. All right, so this is a pattern that I did a long time ago, and it is piped on, which means that's what the raised design is on here. We call it piping. It is, if you're from the glass community and you're joining in tonight, these are different than the piping paste that we use in the glass. Okay. So let me, so right now I've put up the pattern pack. It should be putting that link to that project, which it just did. I see that. Okay, that's kind of cool. So you can click on that link if this is something that interests you, and maybe you want to purchase the pattern pack to do this. Okay, so this is just one of the pieces in that pack. It's actually a book that I did many years ago, and it's been very popular. I didn't put a date on this, but I'm guessing probably 15 or more years ago. So you pipe the outline and then you fill in with the color. Okay. I've got a watercolor background. So there's multiple techniques on here, and it's a real fun project to do. And what I used on here was the color concentrates. Okay. So these are the color concentrates. Here's the smaller bottles. And what I did was I mixed them with the gloss medium, which is our clear glaze, and basically made a color stroke out of it, which is one of our other products. If you're using different products on the market, this would be equivalent. If you mix 50-50, it would be equivalent with the Concept, Stroke and Coat, Fun Strokes, those type of things. Ours are called color strokes, but let's just say that you only had the color concentrates, and you wanted to do something over this black piping. Okay, so here's what the project would look like first. So I've piped out, I transferred some of the design and I piped on, and I'll show you how I did that in a minute. And then when you put color over it, you don't want to put something that's opaque over it. So it needs to be translucent. Okay, so in order to be translucent, it needs to be a translucent underglaze, but I'm also adding the glaze into it so that I can get a very transparent look and be able to do my shading on there. Does that make sense?
Luann wants to know, where did the link pop up on the screen?
It's about 5 comments. It's above Robin Storms up there, Luann. You should, you know what? It put it out on YouTube. I can tell you that for sure.
I don't see it.
It's not showing up on there. Okay. I can put it in later. But all you have to type in to the website is toucan, and you'll see a couple of different glass ones, but you'll see this image. You'll see the book, okay? And it's there. Hi, Susie. Okay. So hopefully, you know why it did that? I bet it's because the YouTube is first on this, so I'll learn my lesson next time when I do this. So what I'm saying is you mix the glaze with that so that you get a, so you would mix equal parts the gloss medium with any of your color concentrates, 50-50, and you basically have created a concept, a color stroke, a stroke and coat, a fun stroke, any of those made for bisque underglazes, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do, we're actually going to do that together, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, while you're looking at this one, and I'm going to change, I'm going to hide that. All right. So this is one that is done with our neutral piping. This one I did with black. You can see the outline is black. That's a traditional outline. This one is our neutral, or the white, okay? So it takes on whatever color you put over it. So if you've got greens over it, oranges over it, that's what you're going to see. It's going to take on that. It's not going to stay white. It's going to take on the color that you put over it. Color decoration on this one is the same thing. And if you just type in teapot, you'll find it on the website. These are hand-built clay leaves. Again, this was many moons ago that I did this, 2004, actually. So that's another, I wanted to make sure you saw the neutral and the black so that you understood that there's 2 different ones. Neutral meaning it is white, okay? And I will show you those. So there is the neutral clay dimensions, we call it. And here is the black. And we do put a black lid on that one so that it's easily recognizable. But when you look at those 2 in the jar, this is the black, this is the neutral. Okay. And you know what? I think that's got me flipped backwards. Let me see. Hold on one second. Anybody got any questions about these? Bert, is there any questions out there?
Nope.
No.
Just a couple of comments.
Okay. Do I need to answer?
Shelley says teapot's my favorite.
Okay. Thank you, Shelley. And I think it's got me flipped completely backwards, but that's okay.
Janet says she loves the teapot.
The teapot was a very popular one. Well, the toucan was too, many moons ago.
Robin said she liked the clay leaves.
Oh, yeah, the clay leaves on the top. Yeah, that's fun to do. Actually, a lady by the name of Jeanette McCoy brought that into the ceramic world and was showing us those many years ago. So there's all different types of ways you could do that. You don't have to do that. This is a booth mold teapot, and I do not have the number on it anymore. It's an older mold. And this is a separate lid that you can purchase that actually has the teapot into there. You don't have to put it on or anything. It's actually a separate mold. It comes with a traditional knob mold, and this is a separate one that you can purchase. So I don't know if Mackie still has that. Mackie bought booth as far as that goes years and years ago. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to kind of show you that to start out with. Any questions? I moved a lot.
Shelley says the writing is showing correct on the labels.
Okay, well, that's all that matters.
It's not back.
Yeah. Okay, good. Oh, it flipped my I finally got it on the right camera. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, exactly. It's not, as long as it's not backwards, that's what I need to know. Doesn't matter if I see it backwards. Okay. So here is one that I transferred. Now, if you're new to ceramics and you've never transferred a pattern, what I did was I laid, this is just cheap tissue paper, and I laid that over my pattern. I traced with a pencil to start with. Okay, so I traced my outline, and then what I did was I took a watercolor marker, which is this guy here. This is a Statler Triplus fine liner. It is like a Sharpie point. It's like a watercolor. And when you, I'll just trace something else over here on the side, put a leaf or something. When you go over those pencil lines, and you want to go slow enough that it has time to bleed through. Now, I may not use this one, and I'll just let it fire off, but I want to show you how. So just go slowly over it. I do not use a Sharpie. A lot of people do, but not when I'm going to trap it between the bisque and the glaze. And then what happens is it transfers to it. It's hard to see, but if you needed to, you could go over your lines with the marker, and it's not going to hurt anything, okay? If you can't see it. All you need is just a guide for where you are supposed to go. It doesn't have to be dark or sharp or anything like that. So that's how you use tissue paper. You can do that transferred to greenware, to the bisque that I'm using on. This is 04 bisque, been fired to an 04. And then you can also transfer on top of a glaze the same way. Now, when, do we have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
And can I use any color of the color concentrates to pipe?
No. I'm not using color concentrates, Luann, to pipe with. I'm using the black clay dimensions or the neutral clay dimensions. So this is a raised outline. Okay, it's a raised outline using.
Can I use carbon clay paper to trace on this?
So the question was, can you use clay carbon paper to transfer? Absolutely, it'll work on any of those surfaces. I like the tissue because I like to be able to see my pattern and how close it is to the edge, you know, if I'm wanting to do placement. When you're using the clay carbon, it does leave kind of some little lines because the paper is touching, but absolutely you can do that for sure. Even like this particular piece was a matte glaze base coated, and then I transferred the pattern on same way that I just showed you, and then I started doing my watercolor technique. So this is considered a Majolica or Maiolica technique, okay, because you're working on top of a glaze. So this does not get glaze on top of it. This is bisque. We're going to apply color, and then I'm going to clear glaze on top of it. So I don't use a Sharpie marker, okay, when I'm going to trap it between the bisque and my glaze. I do not use a Sharpie. The Sharpie will burn off, but if your color is not inside the lines, and I tend to paint bigger, then it can repel your color. When it burns off, you'll have a white line. The one time that you don't want it to happen, it's going to happen, okay? So greenware or on top of a matte glaze, use a Sharpie. And this is written in every one of my technique sheets. I tell you all of those areas that you can transfer and what to use. It doesn't matter what the project is. It's in the basic transfer information. But when you're on bisque, I like the Statler Triplus fine liners. Okay, they make some that have a thicker end, kind of like that old what was that felt tip pen. But the larger the tip, the more of a bleed you get. When I say bleed, if I mix this with water right now, you can actually see, let me hold that up closer. It starts to fade the marker. Okay, so it's water-based. It's, you put water on it, you put color on it, it's going to bleed. So if I didn't have an outline, you could see like a blue halo around my green leaves, and that's only the marker. So you have to just kind of forget about it and not do that. Okay, we have a question.
Ginger wants to know, since you are using the CFE and the concentrates, we could use these patterns on glass, yes?
You can use any of my patterns. She wants to know, the concentrate. You cannot use it in the same way, Ginger. When I start adding the glaze, okay, when I start adding the gloss medium in tea clear, which is our 2-coat clear glaze, you cannot put that on glass. You can put the color concentrates, but this is a totally different technique. So tonight, this one, you could adapt it. Any of my patterns can be used on anything, whether it's on clay, it's on bisque, or on the glass, okay? But you cannot use glaze, okay, on your glass. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, and Shelly is on tonight, and she's typing in some information for us, so that's nice. Thank you, Shelly. Appreciate that. Okay, so I transferred my pattern with my clay dimensions. Remember, the neutral is white, even though it kind of looks like slip because it is a slip-based product, but it's not just slip, okay? And then the black is black. Be sure and stir them in the jar, and then what I've done is put it into one of our piping bottles, and I'm using the pink tip. That's the one that I like, okay? Always test your piping before you start, okay, to make sure there's not water. What I've done is just put a sponge in here, put water on it, and then when I am not using it, I just gently lay my tip there. That'll keep that tip moist, keeps it from clogging. But you got to remember there's water in the sponge. If you squeeze in this bottle and you stuff it down in there and let go, it's going to suck the water up in the bottle. Okay, so always check to make sure, because I had a little bit of water there that just came out. So always make sure that you don't have that water because you don't want it to go all over your piece. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and fill in. You want to touch and then start moving. And I'm literally scratching the bisque. So I'm touching the bisque. You want it to stay in contact with the bisque. So tonight we're talking about ceramics with colors for earth. We're not doing glass at the moment. So if you're a glass person and you don't do ceramics, this may not interest you. But like I said, all the patterns and things can be used on any of that. And I'm not going to go ahead and pipe all that. You can see here where it's, let me get a little bit closer. I keep going to my hand and I'm going to put it in there. Okay, so I'm not sure you can see it on camera. I think you can. This looks a little gray here versus black. That is already dry. This is wet. So it turns that gray, chalky look whenever it's starting to dry. Okay. Those of you that live in Arizona where it's really dry, and even sometimes Florida has a problem, but not, you may need to take I've just got a fine mister. Don't use those pump ones. Water, and I'm just misting, and that keeps that bonded to the piece. Okay, that's just a way to keep it there and keep it moist. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to mix up a couple of colors. And I tend to go to blues. Sorry, guys. I'm a blue girl. So I'm going to put some, this one is 151 cerulean blue, and I've got 152 deep cerulean. Always shake those really well to make sure that they are liquid. You won't need as much of the dark color because dark goes a long ways. And I didn't put my little, I had it, that's all right. So what we want to do is add some, this is the gloss medium, the clear glaze, okay? So I'm adding 50-50. And it doesn't have to be exact, all right? Just in general. Then what I tend to do is, and you can see my palette, okay, is I just take the handle of my brush and I mix that up. Because if you use the hairs of your brush, then you got to rinse it to go to the next one, and you've wasted product. And I believe in not wasting. Wipe that off and go to your other color. Any other questions while I'm mixing here? Okay, so basically right now I have created, I know Janet asked me earlier about color strokes, if I could talk about those. I've basically made a color stroke, Janet, and I know you have the clear glaze, and you've got concentrates. So just do this first and see if you like that. The color strokes are more opaque. These are your translucent or transparent underglazes, okay? So I'm going to have a light color on the outside of my petals, and the dark color is going to be towards the center. I am using the small Sumi brush. We have 4 sizes. They are still on sale. Let me see if I'll try to do all this at one time, guys. My cursor doesn't want to move. Hold on 1 second for me. And it is not. Okay. And I think I'm going to turn on the side camera so that you can see how much I'm touching to the bisque. I think that will help. So let's do that. And I think that's a good angle. All right. So, okay. So let's go with that. All right. So I'm going to dampen my brush and I'm going to blot it. I've got paper towel underneath me. Okay. I'm going to blot it so that it's just damp. I'm going to fully load with the light color. So remember we talked about before, it's like shampooing a brush. Okay. So you're fully loading it, and I'm going to pat the color in, pat it in, and I'm going right over the piping lines. Because this is transparent, it doesn't make any difference. The black will still come through. Remember on the toucan how it showed the black lines? So this is the opposite as normal. Normally we do our painting and then we come back and we do our outlining. With the piping, the clay dimensions, you actually are piping or outlining first and then. So make sure you tuck that up next to. Okay, let me come a little bit closer so you can see that. Make sure we got that. There we go. Okay. So with the light color in your brush, I'm going to turn this around. Okay. Pick up some of the dark. And now I'm going to go towards the center. And I'm going to pat, 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 and just kind of walk it back and forth. I usually start in the middle of the area that I'm going to work in, and then go back to the right and to the left. And then you want to bring that out a little way. So come back up the petal so that it is dark about halfway up. Now you could do a 3-color blend with this if you wanted 3 different shades. I'm just doing it simple for tonight. Now I'm hitting the piping that's there. So what I'm going to do is rinse, blot, and I'm going to aim my brush the other way. Actually, I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to tuck in some of that light up there because it was stopping, the piping was stopping my brush from getting a nice transition from one color to the other. And I got over into my leaf, so I'm just taking clean brush, slightly damp, and just pushing it. Yes, do we have a question?
No, can you do the piping after you paint?
I wouldn't try to, the question was, can you do the piping after you paint? I wouldn't, because what's going to happen is it's going to be rough and you need to touch the bisque. So what it's going to do is scratch off your color, and it could possibly not adhere because of the fact that you're on top of it. So you're laying clay-based product on top of a glaze-based product. So no, I wouldn't recommend that. If you want to do it on top, you can do this blending technique and just use your CC 101 and outline it. Not a problem. So if you don't have the piping paste, or excuse me, the neutral and black clay dimensions. See, I got myself flustered and I picked up. Now watch this, because I grabbed the wrong color. I'm just going to take water in my brush and just remove that. Because it has glaze in it, it's okay. It's not going to hurt it. It's going to come back off. Okay. Hopefully that answered your question. If you want to outline after you do this with this technique of adding the glaze to the concentrate, then just use your CC colors to outline, whether it be the black or whatever color you want. You could even outline with the deep cerulean if you wanted to. Question? Nope. Okay. All right. So I'm always doing the light color first, about halfway back. And now I'm picking up the dark, and I'm going to pat it in place and work it back up into that petal. So I just grab more dark. So you can kind of see how you can get a nice transition from one color to the other. If for some reason you didn't like something or you needed, the other thing that I'll do a lot of times is take a sponge, just like I had in that cup. This is just damp, and I can just wipe out my paint as opposed to rinsing my brush. You waste less color by doing that when you transfer and go back to your original. So I'm just going to soften that edge of where. Now, this is not just a one coat. This is a 3-coat technique, okay, when you're doing this. Because remember, you've thinned it with glaze, okay? You've thinned the concentrate with the CSP01 gloss medium NT clear. If you have glaze from us that was before everything had to go unleaded, you would use still use the gloss medium, because back then we just used it as this type of technique. Okay. So it's a non-moving, non-toxic, clear glaze that we've added equal parts to the concentrates. Now I'm dipping into the dark color, starting the dark where it should be, tuck it in, and then work yourself back, because I still have the lighter blue on here, the darker blue at the tip. So that's going to bleed back into it and give you a nice transition from one color to the other. Any questions, Bert? No questions tonight? Oh my gosh. Okay, guys. So I did it again. I started right in and didn't say. So for those of you that don't know, hi, I'm Paula McCoy, owner of Colors for Earth. I get so excited and I want to show you, and I just jump the gun. I did rinse my brush because I had quite a bit of the dark color in there. So I'm going to do this one. You see how quick? I mean, it goes fairly quick. This petal has the stamen in the middle of it. So just make sure you don't have a lot of water in your brush when you go to load for your color. And if you need to, tap on your sponge, tap off on a paper towel, just to double check. But did you notice I did one petal with both colors before I jumped to the next petal? That's what you want to do. Because if you try to do all the lights and then all the darks, it's going to dry and you're not going to be able to get that transition of color. Okay. All right.
Can I use any clear glaze product?
Can you use any clear glaze product is the question. To thin this with or to mix with it? We say don't mix apples and oranges. The moment you start doing that, it is a non-toxic, unleaded, clear glaze is what it is. So I would say test it, because I don't know. We don't test other products out on the market. So I'm not sure about that. So I just added a little bit of dark there. Okay. Now I'm going to rinse my brush, make sure it's clean. So can you see that? Let me grab. So this is the same. Oh, let me get the side camera too. So this is the same blues that I've got on here. This is one of the ceruleans and the deep cerulean, and that's what I've put on here. So it does, make sure I get it on the camera. Your black comes through, and when I turn this, you can kind of see that it's textured, and you can feel it if you had it in your hands, okay? So that's what that's going to look like. So one of the things that's really cool is you can mist your piece with water, okay? So I've just got my water bottle here, and when you mist that, see how it brightens up? That gives you a little bit of a clue of what it's going to do when it's fired. Okay. And I recommend that you go ahead. I wouldn't fire and set this and then come back and clear. I would put my glaze right on top of this. And all you need to do with our glaze is to wait till the wet sheen is gone and you don't see any like really drippy water puddle, and then you clear glaze over it. Okay. Yes. Okay. We have a question.
Ginger wants to know what kind of flower this is.
This is a hibiscus. It's one of my favorites. I've done multiple renditions, I should say, of it. Okay, so I'm going to put out some yellow, some greens. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize that one was almost empty. Okay, so Janet, I think I answered your question that you sent in earlier. So So I think you're good as far as that goes. She was using a matte glaze over the top of some colors, and it was rough, so she just didn't have enough glaze. So if you're using our matte medium, which is our matte glaze, you want to put 2 coats over your um, colors, not any more than that. If you're doing Magelica with the matte, you end up putting 3 to 4 coats on and then paint on top of it. And it's just a technique wise. And we've talked about that before. So what I'm doing is just putting that gloss medium with my colors. I think you can still see that. Any other questions, Bert?
Why do you need to clear glaze the piece if you have mixed clear glaze and already?
Okay, so the black lines that's a good question. Clay dimensions, so it's clay based, and you have to glaze over anything that's clay based for it to be food safe. Okay, so that's the reason why. Okay, so if you didn't have that as an outline, you're still, even with this technique, it's not heavy enough to coat it. You still need to have 2 coats of clear glaze over it for it to be food safe and usable for food. Question?
Do you need to clean the color off the black lines?
No, you do not. The question is, do you need to clean the color off the black lines? No, you do not. Okay. So you can see the black lines come through. The darker the color is, you don't see it as much, but it's there. It's just because you have a dark color. But you can see the black comes through on everything because I'm mixing it with the clear glaze. Now, if I had used color strokes, you can do that, but you have to mix them thin. The color strokes are in this type of bottle. They're more opaque. So if you start putting an opaque product over a black line, it is going to fade it. Okay. So good question. All right. Are we ready to move to leaves? Any other question? Paula, do you need to clean the color off? Oh, Shelly. Shelly asked that one.
Yes.
She's trying to prompt me, I think. I do hope she knows the answer to that one. Okay, so I'm going into the yellow. I've still got my small sumi brush. Okay, and I think a couple weeks back I told you that. Do you have a question?
Yeah, Donna Faye, does it smear when you put the glaze on it?
No, it will not smear if you don't overwork. I recommend, if you don't overwork your product and your glaze, I recommend the soft fan brushes. This is a white goat hair. This is not a dry brush fan brush. This is a soft goat. There are other brushes out there, like for instance, this, oh no, that one's just dirty. Not dirty, it's tinted. So this is a like a mongoose hair. It's a stiffer hair from this one. So this is nice and soft. This is harsher. So that could smear it, and I'll get to that, and I'll probably do it on this piece for you and show you in a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to use 3 colors on my leaves. So I'm going to apply the light color, which is the yellow on the outside. And then I can kind of wipe off the excess if I want. I usually do a half a leaf at a time. I'm going to tip into the green. I'm going to turn my piece. Remember, always tuck your color. So you want to turn it. You don't want to work this way, because if you send me a picture of what you're doing, I can tell exactly which way your brush was aimed and that you didn't have it the proper way. Because you're going to say, how come mine doesn't look that good? How come mine doesn't blend? It looks lined. And if you do it, okay, let's just do an example here. So do you have another question, Bert? Okay, so if this was the outside of my leaf, this is just a bisque tile, and let's say I did not turn it around, and let me put a mark on here so you can see. So if this was my center vein, okay, so instead of normally I would turn this and aim and go this way, if you stay here and you try to do it, look what happens. You get a strong line of green. If you turn it and the yellow is still in your brush, it's going to fade. And I'm trying to correct this while it's sitting there. Do you see how now, because I have yellow still up in my brush. So now that color is bleeding back into the yellow and you don't get a line. So you need to turn your work as you're working. Okay. Turn your work. I can't stress that enough. And most anybody that's had a class with me would tell you that. All right. So Bert had to leave the room for a minute. Thank you, Shelley, for doing that. Hey, Den. Luann says, I do find what you are doing helpful. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. So I'm going to grab a little tiny bit of that dark color, and I'm just going to put that dark next to that center vein and up underneath. Not real heavy. Okay. Now I've got dark on my brush. Remember the sponge over here? So we're going to wipe it off on the sponge, go back into the yellow, and I'm going to turn my work. And I'm not sure if the side camera, I think you can see that. Tuck that color in. I've got too much on my brush. Tuck that color in. Now you could have also done a watercolor background before you started this too. Okay, so I'm tucking the yellow. What am I going to do? I'm going to turn around. I'm going to go straight into the green. I did not rinse my brush. This time I'm going to catch that center vein also and put some color in there. A little bit more green. Okay, and now I'm going into my dark green, just a tiny bit on the tip. I want to make sure that gets in that center, and I want to make sure it goes underneath. My brush is aimed where I want the color. Now this is a thicker line, so I've got to kind of stand up on my tippy toes and tuck it in. And if you see on the side camera, I'm completely pushed down on the brush. I'm not just up on the tip going like this, because when you do that, what do you get? Who knows what I call that? So if you're on your tippy toes, what do I call that? Rabbit tracks. Rabbit tracks. I got some bubble paints from Colors for Earth. Can't wait to use them. Okay, great. It doesn't say what your name is, but you're watching on BKR42. Tonight I'm talking about ceramics. Next week will be glass color. I try to alternate back and forth, and then we also do some brushstroke stuff also. So tonight I'm doing ceramics. Okay. All right. So that gives me my dark. Again, I'm going to wipe off on my sponge. I don't want to rinse because I'm going to waste product if I do that. Okay. So let's do another one. I'm going to fully load with that yellow again. And I'm going to do half. You notice I'm doing half of a leaf at a time. And I'm trying to hurry to not take up so much time. And then add that lighter green. I turn my piece around. I'm tucking that up. Again, I'm using the small Sumi brush, and I believe all the Sumi brushes are still on sale. They have the blue handle. I know some of you have ordered the red handle ones that we have on there, and that is a Nocturna. It's a harsher hair. It's not my original Sumis. We had to get those in, and we still have a few of those. So look for these blue handles. You can buy them singly, or you can buy them individual. Let me see if I think I can show you those. Give me 1 second. Maybe. Okay. So see those brushes there? There should be a link that pops up into the chat, Shelley. It's supposed to pop up there. And they are on sale. The 4-piece set's on sale for $56.16. There it goes. And it's popping up on YouTube versus on Facebook. I apologize. I've got my streams backwards. I should have had the Facebook one first. That's why it's doing that. Okay. So those are the brushes that I'm using. I'll leave those up for a minute. All you have to do is type in Sumi, and it'll bring up everything that has Sumi related to it. And I think Shelley is probably on top of it and probably has a link out there already for you. Okay, so yellow out on the tip, go into the lighter green, which was 161, and up next to and underneath where your shadows would be. And then pick a little bit of the dark up and add that. So I do 85% of my painting with these brushes as far as ceramics goes. Okay. I'm going to grab another Sumi brush, and I dampened it with water so that I can just push that back if I get outside the line. I'm telling it to get back in the fence. Don't be outside there. Okay. And let's add a little bit more dark. Okay. So you can see it's fairly easy to do something simple like this. You don't have to have a lot of skill. You don't have to know brush strokes. It's just a matter of aiming your brush the proper direction so that you get the shading to look right where it blends. Okay, so then I would come back, before I forget, onto, I don't remember which one I did first, the petals. And I either do 2 coats this way, or sometimes I do 3. It really depends on the color. So a lot of times reds and oranges are more translucent, more transparent. So I would probably do 3 coats on those. And you do the same thing that you did each time. You're just repeating it. Sit it down, mush, mush, mush. Walk it to the right and walk it to the left. Okay, wipe out the dark. Grab your light color. Go to the next one. Any questions, Bert?
No.
No questions. They're quiet tonight. They're watching. Okay, pick up the dark. I did not rinse. And go in here and add that for your shadow. Walk that back, I call it. Kind of work it coming back down the petal, just so it's not just right there at the very tip or the center area. And we'll come back and do some other shading on top of there. We did a little bit of this same type of thing on the poppy that I did on that square piece that Robin won, except for I did not have the medium. So if you tried that technique and you found that it was difficult for you to blend, this is pretty much, you can't mess it up. And I'm sure somebody's going to tell me that I'm wrong, but I really don't think you can, because you've got the glaze in it, so it's more forgiving than just the pure pigment that grabs to the bisque. Same technique, just different way of applying the product. So it really just depends on what you're working on. And I would not use just the pure color with the piping, because the pure color, just straight from the bottle, has a tendency to stain the bisque right where you put it. Okay. So this is a little more forgiving. You've got time to work it and blend it. And that's the nice thing about it. Okay. Any questions? We got a question. Hold on.
Do you always pre-fire your screening before adding color?
Okay. This must be somebody.
Janice Bernie Colette.
So Janice Colette, this is a ceramic piece, and it's actually piped on, piping paste. And I'm going to just mist that with some water. So this is ceramic bisque. It's not screened on. If you were to screen the image, yes, I would pre-fire it to an 04 or an 06 firing, and then come back and paint it. And I show that, I did that a few weeks back, maybe 3 weeks ago. It should be out there on my YouTube. And I show you how I screen, and I show you the piece that was fired and how I was decorating it. So be sure and check that out. And guys, don't forget, subscribe to the YouTube channel. That way, and hit that bell. That way you get notified every time I put something up new. Okay. Or when I'm going live. Okay. So this was piped on with a bottle in our clay dimensions. And I'm using the black clay dimensions. So this is clay base that's been colored, and then you pipe it on, and then we're coloring on top of it. It has not been fired. All of this is done. I transferred my design, I piped, and then I started painting. Okay. So I'm going to rinse the brush so that I can go back to the leaves. I think we have a question.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Okay.
One is, what color are you using? What color for earth paint are you using? I guess is the question.
Okay. I am using color concentrates, and I'm mixing them with 50/50 with our gloss medium NT clear glaze, a 2-coat clear glaze. So basically, I'm making a concept, a stroke and coat, a fun stroke type of product out of the concentrates and the clear. 50/50, and that's what I've mixed up here. That way I can blend and shade. And what was the other question? Did I answer that?
Why 3 coats?
Why 3 coats? If you wanted it thinner, the first coat usually is lined because meaning it looks like you see light, medium, dark. It doesn't look transitioned because it's grabbing to the bisque. And then the second coat looks better, and the third coat, it would be like, remember, oops, I just messed up. I just added glaze to it. So think of it this way. When you apply a glaze, most of the time it's a 2-coat or a 3-coat glaze. Like our colored glazes are 3 coats, the clear glaze is 2. So that's what we're making a colored glaze here is what we're doing. And I just need, so I had to rinse my brush. So I'm going to add the yellow back in my brush so that I can get it to blend. Tip into the green, and now tuck that green where you want it. Kind of put it in the center. And anytime you're around piping, you want to tuck those colors up next to it so that it can grab. You don't want to just let it sit there. You want to kind of tuck it next to that line so that it's underneath it and it doesn't have any problems with pulling back or anything. Now I'm adding the dark. So I'm doing 3 colors, a light, a medium, and a dark on the leaves. I did not do that on the petals. Question?
No.
No. Okay.
No, unfortunately, my mouse died.
Oh no. His computer mouse died. That's not good. Okay. So light on the outside. And I'm not worrying about halfway back is what I want, but this is a small area. I'm not worrying about it because I know the other color is darker than that. Okay. So what I want, what one of my goals when I bought the company back in 2006, one of the things I hated when I took classes was I used that product just to do that project, and then it hardened and I threw it away. What I'm trying to do and have done all these years is to show you multiple ways to use your products so you get the most out of them. I wish somebody had done that for me. No, they were wanting you to buy another product, get another jar of something. So I'm trying to show you different ways that you can use our products with what you've got. So I'm not saying go buy some more. I'm saying try using it this way and see. All I did, if you've already got your color concentrates, all I did was add in the clear glaze, and you should have that if you're using our products on ceramics. So you've already got it. Here's just another way to use it. Okay. So that's one of my goals, is to make sure you know those uses. And yes, sometimes it gets confusing because there's so many different variables, and it just really depends on the technique, and what works best on that product at that time. Okay, so I'm almost done with my yellow, so I need to get some more out. So those of you that just joined me, the volume's okay today, guys, right? Everything's working, I hope. Okay, I'm going to hide this and go back to that screen.
Nina Harris.
Yes.
If you don't add the glaze to the color concentrates, can you fire it then glaze with ceramic glaze?
Good question, Nina. So she wants to know that if you don't add, so that would be like the one that I did a few weeks back, the orange and red poppy. Yes, you could fire and set your colors and then come back and clear glaze. With the piping, with the clay dimensions here, I prefer to put the glaze over the top of it, okay? And that's because if you don't get product on there, and sometimes when you fire it, it's clay-based, it can lift off, okay? So I recommend that you go ahead and glaze. And even if you wanted to set the color, you could even take a sumi brush, a larger one, dip it in the clear glaze, and just dab it onto your piping just to keep it, intact. You could do that, and I can demonstrate that in a bit. All right, so I had to mix up some more yellow. So fully load. Now, I just seen that I have some blue. So this brush is just water in it. And I'm going to push that blue back over there. Okay. Because what do you get when you mix yellow and blue? Green. All right. Any other questions, Bert? No questions. All right. All right. So you know what? I forgot to figure out what I was going to give away. So be sure and comment tonight if you've not joined me before. What we do is at the end of the live, we go through and spin the comments, and you have an opportunity to win a brush, a piece, whatever I'm giving away tonight. So I'll figure that out while I'm painting here. All right. So adding the dark, and I want it in the center there. And I want it down in here. I'm going to have to tuck it in because that's a tight area. But I'm always aiming that brush where I want that color, because I've got dark, I've got the green, and I've got the yellow in the brush. Okay. If I get too much on my brush, I just wiped it off on the sponge and come back and touch. Wipe off to get rid of the excess and go back to the yellow. Does the side camera help you guys so you can see the pressure or how much I'm pushing down on the brush? Do you like the side camera, or would you rather just see overhead? So be sure and tell me. I also need to know what you would like to see next, if there's a particular product or a project. And I may start doing, when we get through some of these products, is start doing an actual project. Tonight, I have put quite a few projects on sale, and I'll show you those, and the link will appear in the YouTube comments. And I may have to have Shelly go grab, if she's still on, she'll have to grab. Did you have a question, Bert?
Oh, yeah, but I'm having trouble
interpreting.
Getting to it.
Oh, okay. They're moving too fast.
My mouse is dead.
Okay. All right. So when I'm done, I wipe off. If I'm not going back to another leaf, which I've only done one coat on each one of these, so I am going to go back over here and do another coat. A lot of times I'll do 2 coats on the leaves, and then just I'll do 3 coats on the actual flower petals. And we will fire this and show you what it looks like, and this will be a giveaway at some point in time when I finish it. Okay. Dark color.
Shelly says, Shelly Nichols.
Okay.
Says, please mention where we can find your patterns.
Okay. So let me, darn it, I wish that would have worked. Colorsforearth.com. Okay. So let me pop that up there. So there's my email, my website, and phone number. So you can go on there, and let's say this is a hibiscus. You can put in the search bar hibiscus or toucan that I showed you. Anything like that, you can put in the search bar. 1 second, I'm going to show you. I don't know that I brought that one over. Okay. We do have a, this is a ceramic underglaze sampler kit. So you could put in sampler. We do have a glass one too. So this is, make sure you get the one. This one has 14 colors, and they would be the 1 ounce bottles, the smaller bottles, and it does come with a pint of glaze. Okay, so that is on the website. That's one of the things that we have. I showed you the brushes that I was using. Those are the Sumi brushes. Okay. Okay, thanks, Shelly. I appreciate you jumping on. She says she's got to run. Okay, so you can, like I said, put anything in the search bar on the website, colorsforearth.com, and you'll be able to find it. If you can't find anything, just call me. I know I had a lady today that was confused, and so just give me a buzz, and I'll walk you through it. But on the, I don't think I copied that one, on the home page of the website, there are like bars. Let me show you this one. Hold on. So Okay, so see this image here, it says CFE ceramics. So that is just, but on the homepage it says ceramics, and then it says enamels. So those are buttons, but they're rectangle like this, and they have a bar across them. So you can click on those and go straight to any of the products. We also, at the top of the website, there's a blue bar, and all of those different segments or different parts of the company are up there. And all you got to do is click, there's a drop down menu, and it'll show you those also. Okay. All right, let me hide that and go back to that. Isn't that pretty cool? All right, so we've got the Sumi brushes. Okay, I'm going to show you another picture, and this one is using the neutral clay dimensions. And actually, I have that piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide my side camera for just a minute so you can see that.
By the way,
Do what?
the main opinion is they like both views.
Both views? Okay, guys, great. Thank you. I appreciate your input. Okay, so this is the picture that I'm showing you up there. Okay. This is a columbine. Now, this one, it's a green piping. So guess what I did? I took the neutral clay dimensions, and I took the 162 or whatever green you want. This is white. Remember, when it's fired, it turns white. It looks kind of like a slip color. So when you add color to white, what do you get? A pastel. So don't put the lighter green in there because it's going to be really, really light. So go with the darker color, like the 162 Laurel, and you will get something like this. Okay, so this actually is piped. So I tinted it and put it in a little cup, mixed it up, and then put that into my bottle, and it was green, and I piped everything. And then I painted over the top of it, just like I've been showing you on the hibiscus. Okay. Now, those of you that do both ceramic and glass, Ginger, Luann, up here on the top of this vase, and this packet is on sale also. I've cut a lot of the projects I have cut in half for tonight. Okay, so those are half priced. Some of them are download, some are hard copy, meaning I mail you the packet. So up here on the top, this is our foam, which is a snow product. And when it's wet, I put glass. So in a cup, I've mixed frit, colored glass, okay? Not plastic, okay, that you buy at the craft stores for church windows. I'm talking about real glass frit in colors. So I've got a fuchsia, and it doesn't matter what COE you use because you're on ceramics. So I mix it in there and then kind of pat it on. And when the glass melts, then you get that real glossy look. And the foam holds it in place. So that's a fun technique that's available. So in this packet that you see on the screen there, you get 4 different plate designs and the vase, and then the different techniques that I've done on all of those. This was a project, the plates I taught at Doc Holliday in Kentucky many, many years ago. This was 2012. But I thought that was really fun. So Ginger, that's a fun way to use up some of your frit onto your ceramic pieces. Okay. Do you like that? This is a really cool, and I did the inside the same way. So I rolled the inside with my clear glaze, and while it was wet, I took my frit and just sprinkled it, and it attached, and it just fired in there. Isn't that cool? What kind of foam? It's one of our products called foam, white foam. It's called. If you just, it's a snow product. We just happen to call ours foam. Okay, Shelly. All right. So yeah, John, this is kind of fun. Cindy Lou, do the pieces come with the kit? No, the pieces don't come with the kit. No, I call these my class in a bags. That's what I'm showing you there. That is basically a technique packet. Okay. So what you get, this is just a different one. Let me move my camera. Whoops, wrong way. Back. So this is my technique sheets. Okay. And they're all numbered. And it tells you a brief description on what they are. So it's step-by-step photos, and I can show you this. Let me move the vase. All right, so you get your colored photograph, your supply sheet, and then you get all general instructions talking about brushes, what I'm talking, my terms, blocking in, what does that mean? Magelica, what does that mean? Relief, comma strokes. So anything I do in the packet, it describes all of that up front. And then I tell you how to prepare, how to transfer your design. Okay, you get colored photographs, you get your patterns, I show you before it's glazed, or excuse me, before it's fired. And then some of them I even have color coded if it happens to pertain to that particular one. And you get additional patterns. You get detail patterns so that you know how to detail on top of it. And then these are just other little motifs that you can do. And so lots of good information. This one doesn't have as many colored pictures as some of them do, but they all come with the large colored picture on the front, if not in the back also. Okay. So those are called class in a bag or technique sheets or technique packets, however you want to refer to that. Okay. So there was the toucan one. That was the one I showed you before. Let me grab it again. So that comes in a book format. And if you would like it signed, I'd be happy to do that for you. A lot of people like that when I was first came out with it years and years ago. Okay, this has just got a watercolor background. This is showing you how to marbleize. Here again, you got a 2-color blend. You have 2 and 3 color blends on your leaves. I tell you how to flood in 2 colors on the stems. I'm trying to remember. And then you go back and you shade different areas. Okay. So this is like a water pitcher. It's a big, you can see with my hand there. It's a pretty good size piece. Okay. And that's with the black clay dimensions. Okay. This particular one, Janet, I brought this one tonight because you were asking about color strokes. Okay. Looks different from the photograph in here because I've got so many lights on. I apologize. So this is showing you how to, when you're sponging, you can go from light to a medium to a dark, and you would want to use color strokes because you need something that's more opaque that's going to cover up. That's a dark color underneath. And this is like a peach and a white on top and the greens. But it's nice to have some of the colors showing through also. I think this was a lighter version of I left that other one at Doc Holiday because I taught this at their plant many years ago, 2012 it says. Okay, so that one is cut in half. It's just called Floral Plate. If you don't see the link there, you can write down that number that's at the top, the CB PM093. So CB is class in a bag. PM is me, Paula McCoy, because we do have some teachers that we have some of their stuff on there. And then mine are all numbered. And I have probably over 350 to 400 designs out there. So you could use this on glass, the pattern. You know, you don't have to do the ceramic, but this one is done with color strokes, Janet. Okay, so that you could see that one. All right, so let's pop to another one. Okay, so this little guy is one that I did at a retreat a few years ago. And this is just a little oval dish. It's about 1.25 inches tall. And it is using color concentrates. Yes, I think I used all concentrates similar to what I was demonstrating where I had it with. And I did put this one down to $6.25 also. So I've cut the prices on some of these in half. The book I did not because it is a book and you get tons of patterns and the color is, you know, it's bound into a book. But I think I reduced it to $11 versus $13.50 is what it used to be. Okay, so this one, how many of you like that? You like that vase? Look at this. Can you see how this is raised? This is using relief motif. Okay, see how it's raised up on there? It's a white textured stand-up glaze is what it is. We use it in the glass also, ginger. I think you have some. So it comes in a 2-ounce jar. If it is dried up, do not throw it away. Just add water. So see, this one is dry. So I can take and just put some water on the top of it put the lid on it. So do it the day before and you just start mixing it up and it's fine. You don't throw it away. It's just one of the properties of it. Okay. So this is put on. You can tint it with any of your color concentrates and apply it. So I tinted this with a yellow and put it on. And again, this is called Teardrop Daisies. It's on your screen there. And it is reduced in price tonight too. And then what I did, Janet, this has a color stroke, 3 coats on for a background. And then I came in, transferred my pattern, and I can do some demonstrations of the relief at another time. You build it up. I mean, these are, you can see that it's really, let me zoom in, see if I can get the right way. Do you see how raised that is? You can kind of see if I put my fingernail down, I mean, you can see that it's really raised. So you do all your other painting, like the leaves and the buds and the flowers first, then you put that on. That way, if you go over the top of it, it's going to cover it. Then when it's dry, you come back and you shade. You do what I call my sumi shading, okay, to get to the center. So when I say sumi shade, you have a question?
Nope.
Okay. I water load the brush. I drag it off to a point, and then I tip. I'm going to pick a dark color. I tip into a color, and let's just pretend this is where I want to shade. I'm going to tuck it in, and you sit it down, mush, 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 walk it to the right, walk it to the left. So that's what I've done to shade each one of those petals. And then I detailed on top of it. These are all brush strokes. This is using, there's a base, and then you use a filbert brush and do some dry brushing. So that's another technique. And then I came back and I sponged with the seawool sponge. Now, seawool sponge is not this one. It's the open lacy one. And I dabbed it into my clear glaze and I sponged in the background. So can you see it's kind of mottled looking? You can see that it's shiny where the clear glaze is and it's matte where the color stroke is. Yes, Bert, we have a question.
Are the sale prices only for tonight?
No, I'll leave them on for a while, but you guys are the only ones that are going to know about them because I'm not making an announcement. So there's a half a dozen of them that I put on sale. Okay.
And Janet wants to know, could I use this on coffee mugs?
The relief motif? Is that what you're asking about, Janet? As long as it, well, no, I'm going to tell you no, because there's texture to this, okay? And when you start adding texture to something, then if you get any type of food or liquid in it, then mold can grow. So I would not put that on anything like that. It's more of a decorative surface is what you're looking for. Okay.
Shelley wants to know, Shelley Nichols, would it be possible to list and tell us where you get some of your bisque? I know you have molds for sale.
I do not have molds for sale. That was, where do I get my bisque? Every one of my technique sheets has the exact, so let's just pull this one out. I didn't print one of the other ones out. So this particular one, this was the black one I was showing you. So this says the sconce wall pocket, the slant vase, which is this guy here. And I know you can't see that. Hold on, let me get the packet out here. All right, so like this one here is a Petro mold. The scallop plate was a Duncan 04 bisque. The bird was a crest mold. So I do tell you in my packets exactly where each piece came from, okay? Whether it's from a bisque company or it's poured from a mold. So all of that is listed in those packets, okay? But I do not sell any of the bisque. But you could put it on anything. This would be beautiful on a decorative pitcher or you know, even this was an old Arnell's vase. Let me back off. I think this was an Arnell's. I don't, you know what? I lied. It's Holland. But it tells you in the packets what I use. So if you buy the packet, you'll get the list of the colors and stuff. If you want the colors at the same time, I don't believe, I didn't used to post all those colors out there. If you're thinking you're wanting those packet and the colors, I can definitely copy and paste into an instant message. If you want to message me, I can tell you what colors, and then you can check to see if you have them or if you need to purchase them. Okay.
Shelley wants to know, could I use this on coffee mugs?
What are you asking? What colors? What are you looking for? What colors? What are you looking for? What colors? 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 What col All right, and this is a Doc Holiday mold, this teardrop base. I believe that's the name of the mold. That's why I called that this. Oops, sorry about that. Let me go back. So this is a kit that we have that's CC enhancers, which is the same thing as your color concentrates. It's just the pack of 41. It comes in 1 ounce or 2 ounce. Okay, then you could buy you a pint or a gallon of clear glaze and do tons of projects. Those kits are on sale. So before you start going and buying individuals, definitely look at the kits to see. And you can find that on the color concentrate page, or you can just type in CCs, which are color concentrates. Okay, and you can find those. But this is the kit number that's shown there, the CC kit 41, and then you choose whether you want a 1 ounce or a 2 ounce version of it. Okay. All right, let me move on to another one if I can get my mouse to work. Bert's jinxed me tonight. Any questions about what I'm showing you? Wow, my mouse is not wanting to work either. Okay, so here's again the ceramic underglaze sampler kit. So you get 14 of the primary colors. These are the same that's in the CC kit 1 on the glass side of the business. This has a pint of the clear glaze. Okay, so it has a pint of glaze in that kit with those colors if you're going to do the ceramic. Okay. Luann, the original companies have closed, but others bought. Yeah, a lot of the molds are bought by different people, and I think there's a lot of ceramic boards that you can ask questions on those. Mackie molds bought out a lot of different companies, and then Starlight in Wichita, Kansas bought out quite a few. I think they bought some of the Doc Holiday molds. They probably have this teardrop vase. Okay. Paula, what's Robin saying? Paula, okay, Paula, something all with the daisy. On with the I don't know what she's saying. Okay.
Well, there's 3 or 4 of them that want your.
Oh, they want the vase?
Yeah.
Oh no, this one will not be a giveaway. I had to take this down. If you notice, this is in my virtual background. It's up way high on a wall. And no, I will not give this away. It's the only one I've got. If I have multiples, I do give those away. But okay, and again, here's those sumi brushes. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of that, and you can't have the teapot either, Robin. But guess what? I think that I'll give this plate away. How about that? And the back, I sponged it and didn't do an overall coverage. I just left it so that you can see, and then I added a little motif there. Let me hide this. So isn't that fun? Okay, so are you tired of me yet? So that's what we were working on. I will finish. I'll go put another coat on that and go back and do the coats on. Now, I was telling somebody that I would show them real quick about if you want to set it and you don't want to clear glaze over. Got the hiccups there, Mr. Burt? Sorry, guys. It's live. It's live. Okay. So I put a little bit of clear glaze out, and then what I'm going to do is just pick up my sumi brush, make sure there's no color in it. So if I wanted to, I could actually go through and just dab some clear glaze on that piping. That will tack it down. Okay. Now I'm still going to go back over and do my color decoration before I put this in, but this isn't going to hurt it. It's just clear. It's not going to show. Okay, so that's how I would do it. Whoever was asking, Janet maybe was asking about that. Thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. Been doing it a long 30. Let's see, Brandon's 33. My oldest son will be 34 in a couple of days. So I've been doing this for at least that long. It's a long time. Long time. Okay, so this is going to be one of our giveaways. I have some of those jewelry pieces. I don't have any of them made into jewelry yet, but I do have some jewelry pieces that I can put veils on and give that away. Let's do this one first, Bert, because I think we're running right a little over an hour, right? Yeah.
I don't know, what are we doing?
We're going to do the large floral square plate. Will be our first giveaway.
This is going to be pain.
It's going to be a pain. They can hear you. Don't say that.
Well, I don't have a mouse. I mean, you try scrolling without a mouse.
Oh, he doesn't have a mouse, so it's hard to scroll. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so he's going to try to.
Let's see, where's my.
I'm going to show you if I can get to. Yeah. I'm going to show you another piece. This is, and I'm going to hide that out of your way. Okay, so this is a vase by HK, and it is still being made. That was greenware. I banded colors on. Then I carved out, you see the white highlights on those? I carved that out. And then after I went in and did my black outline, but that's all banded, diminished banding is what that's called. And I think that's what I called it on the website, diminished banding vase. So that's one. I'm trying to get this. Oh, I see where I'm at. Got it. All right. There's that St. Patrick. That's under the free projects. Don't forget that one. That's just some glass. This is a holiday piece that I did many years ago. And that is a combination of color strokes and color concentrates with a watercolor background. I think that's the only ones I've got on there. Okay, so let's hide that. This one is a free project. This is a butterfly bowl. It is made by Riverview Molds. You can still get this. And I would say this is probably my most popular. It's a free technique on my website under those freebies in the education. So each butterfly is actually carved into the bowl. It's a shallow bowl. Paint it in greenware. Come back, bisque fire it, put 2 coats of clear. So you double load a brush and pull in the wings. You add color stroke white because you want the white dots to be opaque over that translucent. It's a fantastic piece. Riverview Molds. And on the tech sheet that's out there free for you, it tells you the mold number and everything. Let him know, let Dan know that I sent you his way if you order that. Maybe some of you already have it. And we just lost a few months ago Mr. Frank Frisbee from Riverview Molds, the original owner, and his son still is running the company. So that was one of his prize possessions. He taught me everything I knew. He said I taught her to paint. This is another one called Dogwood Splendor. There's the class in a bag number. You can type in the search.
What else you giving away?
I'm going to give away the little oval bird tray also. That'll be one of the prizes. And let's do a small and mini sumi will be one of our other prizes. So this
separate or together?
Together. We'll do them as a set, a small and a mini. This particular piece, the oval platter with the blue border, is a Booth mold. The teapot is Petro molds, and the round plate, I believe, was a Booth, but any coupe or any rimmed plate would work. This has the white. Okay, this has the actual. Let me see if I can get that. All right, Luann, that is what you win. Okay, lost you. Uh-oh. You think I'm frozen? Can you still hear me? When I went to that camera, it changed it, didn't it? It's something to do with that camera. Hold on, guys. Let me switch and let's go to this one. All right, am I back? It's something to do with that overhead camera after you've been off of it for a while. Okay, all right. So Luann, I think you could still hear me, but Luann wins this plate. Okay. All right. So our second winner is for the little oval bird dish. This is about 8 inches by 5 inches across, inch and a quarter tall. Okay.
That's Drew Woodward.
Drew Woodward. Oh, Drew, I didn't know you were out there. Looky there. All right. So, Drew, you win that one. Okay. And then for the small and mini Sumi, who wins that?
Shelly Nichols.
Shelly Nichols, you win the 2 brushes, the small and the mini Sumi brushes. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Any last questions? Thanks, Arlene. I'm so glad you're on. Hugs, my friend. I'm thinking about you. I know you've been going through some tough times. I appreciate you joining me. Okay. Any other last questions? What do you want to see next? Tell me. Do you want an actual a full-length project? If we do that, we will have to start earlier, and it maybe has to be on a Saturday. And it could be something that I tell you the packet that it's going to be. And if you want to paint along, you can. Otherwise, I'll do from start to finish on camera. I may have to have a multiples going because of time, but I could probably try to do a 3-hour type thing if you want to do something like that on a weekend. Weeknight is probably not a good idea with everybody working. Luann is waving her hand. Yeah, I bet you are. You can set this next to your yellow rose, right? Okay. Anybody else? Anything you want to see next time? You want me to go into more color strokes next time for your ceramic? You want more brush strokes? Do you want to see brushes?
Somebody had a suggestion, but I can't find it.
Somebody had a suggestion. If you
got too many comments.
Okay, if you had a comment and you suggested something earlier, type it back in. Bert said it went by too fast. He couldn't see it. Or message me. Instant messenger is great. Okay. Janet says she likes the shorter projects. So, okay. So, it might just be a flower out of something versus the whole 9 yards. I'm trying to do things that I can have part of it done and then you see the other, I tell you about it. Weekend project would be fun. Okay. All right. So I may set something up and then I'll put the packet on sale, and at least you have the pattern, the color guide and everything. You can sit and do it with me, and I'll do, I know a lot of the acrylic painters do them on Saturdays. So I might do like a Sunday afternoon instead of a Saturday, just because, when the guys are watching sports, you can be painting with me. How would that be? Okay. All right, guys, send me your suggestions. Thank you for joining me, and let me know. Bert, it was a great class tonight, Robin says. Thanks, Robin. Oh, Paula and Bert. I see it now. My cursor was over it. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. Take care. And next Tuesday night, we will be doing glass. So watch for that. Let me show you something. I always think of something else before I go. Did you guys see this one that I posted? It's beautiful. The blue, this was the balloon technique. I'm trying to decide whether to silk screen. I think I'm going to take frit and put it around the edge and make a lacy edge, and then put it into a bowl. And this was the other one I did Saturday night. I showed you how to do the Zentangle. So this was just a balloon to create a balloon with the enamels on glass. And then I came in with white and black designer with the quill pen and just did this freehand, just to show you how you can turn something into something else. Okay. So that was a fun one. Watch this week. I may come on impromptu. I've got this purple one here, and I've sketched on it with a watercolor marker to make like little flowers. And so I may come in and do that with the quill pen also this weekend. So you never know when I'm going to pop up. Okay. All right. Thanks, Ginger. Thanks, Luann, Robin. Okay, guys, I'm signing off. I'm stopping. All right.